It's my privilege to be here with two of the greatest Olympic athletes ever, two of the greatest gold medal winners ever, who also happen to call Houston area home, Carl Lewis and Leroy Burrell. Years after competing with and against each other, they're both now at the University of Houston, where they were once student athletes. Thank you both very much for being here tonight.
Great, thank you.
Appreciate it. Carl, let's begin with you. You obviously have a wonderful Olympic record, 9 gold medals in 4 Olympic Games. Is there any one event or any one medal that stands out in your mind more than the rest?
Well, you know, it's really interesting because at heart I was a long jumper, and that's where I had the most success. But the one medal that stands out is the first one. And I know Leroy could say the same thing. When you win that first gold medal, it's something you trained for, dreamed about, but it's still bigger than when it actually happens. So my first gold medal, which was the 100 meters in Los Angeles.
That's what stands out in your mind the most. Leroy, you and Carl competed against each other. What was it like to work together at the '92 Games in Barcelona?
Well, you know, it's funny because I watched Carl win that that first gold medal from my living room back home in my hometown in Pennsylvania. I was still in high school then. You know, and a year later, I was a freshman at the University of Houston, and I'm kind of working out with my track hero, and over time, Carl, our relationship, I guess you can say, kind of morphed from my hero to mentor to competitor, you know, and in some respects even rival. So, but winning that medal in Barcelona, you know, we teamed up and you know, we're really fortunate. We had a really good team, broke a world record that particular day, and you know, and it basically all kind of come full circle. Now we're working together to try to make things, you know, try to make something happen.
What would you say has been your magical moment at the Games?
Well, yeah, that relay, obviously. You know, that week, my competitive week in Barcelona was a little difficult. I placed 5th in the 100, and to come back and win that medal and break a world record, it was like redemption for me.
Yeah. What does it feel like to be able to represent Team USA and of course your own hometown of Houston when you were at the Games? What did that feel like?
Well, you know, for us it was unique because, like you mentioned, '92. There was 3 of us on that team. Mike Marsh lived in town, and of course Leroy did, and so we had this unique opportunity to represent our city, our club, Santa Monica Track Club, and the United States. But it's an honor, really, if you really look at it. When you're in the heat of battle, you're just out there trying to win the competition and go represent, and then you put USA on your chest and you're proud. But that's something that it gets bigger as you get older. Yeah. Like a lot of things, you know, you appreciate that because you're saying, God, you're really fortunate to have gone at all, not to mention gone there and won and set world records and people recognize.
I see you shaking, you kind of agreeing with
absolutely.
All that.
You know, when you're involved, you're so in the moment that you really have to bring it down to a track meet. You know, it's a track meet, and when the farther away you get from it, you're like, wow, that's really big, and you really can't afford to make it big when you're there, because if you do, that's when you can mess it up. You know, if you're sitting on the start line, you're thinking, wow, man, the world is watching.
Yeah.
You're usually in trouble.
You're watching. You'll be watching the race.
Exactly, from behind.
And that actually brings me to my next question, because obviously this is really tough on you physically, competing in all these games, all these meets that lead up to it and all that. But what about mentally? How do you mentally prepare to keep training, to keep competing year after, you know, game after game, year after year? How do you do that? How do you bring that forth in yourself?
You know, it's interesting. I mean, for me, I just took it one year at a time. And then these guys came in, you know, Mike Marsh and Floyd Hurd, and of course, Leroy and Coach Burrell. They came along, and then I had a new emphasis. I mean, I've got people that want to take the things that I've done, you know, and they actually did it. They set records, they ran faster than me, and they did that. So that gave me motivation to keep going.
Yeah. Same with you, Leroy?
Yeah, well, you're just trying to reach a goal.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, like I said, I watched Carl, and then I did the same events, and so we grew up about, what, 40 miles or so from each other. Really close. And so there was a comparison instantly. There was a comparison. Well, you're going to be Carl Lewis. And okay. you know, then here I am, like I said, I went to University of Houston, and you're going to be Carl Lewis. I'm like, well, but you're just trying to reach that goal. I learned really early that I have to try to be me, and being me is trying to be the best I can at what the gifts that God gave me.
Sure.
And so that's what you're out there trying to do, and you're just doing that day in, day out, meet in, meet out, year in, year out. And if you get to do it for a couple of years, then you're really fortunate.
Yeah. Now, the two of you are two of the best track athletes ever of all time. Being as objective as you can about it, how much would the current Olympians, Usain Bolt, Justin Gatlin, have to be worried about you two competing with them today? Looking at what you know about them and what you know about yourselves, how much would they have to worry about you guys as competitors?
I mean, I think we'd be competitive. You know, the things that we did are still competitive. Mm-hmm. I think the difference is that some of these guys are able to do it week in and week out, and that I think is has changed a bit. But we give it a good fight. You know? Yeah. It ain't like we give it up. You know.
Yeah. you know, and it's interesting because when people say that, you think you could beat and so, I'm like, we beat the people we ran against. Mm. You know.
Right.
I mean, I do believe that if Jesse Owens was born and running right now, he would still be good. Yeah. Because he beat everyone in front of him, and so I think the thing that's healthy in our relationship and what we do is that we don't go back and compare that. You know, that was our time. We had a great time and we set records, but now we're not in, oh my God, I know I could beat him and I don't know about my time. What would I run in these conditions? It doesn't really matter. No. You know, I'm just trying to keep my hair from going gray. You know?
Looking back at your Olympic experiences, is there any one moment or any one story that still stands out as something really funny, humorous, that you laugh about when you think about it today?
Oh my gosh.
No, that's
that we don't get in trouble with. I'll tell you one thing that was really interesting. You mentioned that 92 relay, and I don't know if Leroy remembers this, but we were going out and we were not thinking about the world record at all. It was windy, very, very windy, and Leroy ran second and I ran anchor, so the wind was blowing into his face. Mm-hmm. So the last thing I remember saying, Leroy, watch the wind. And then when I said that, I said, there's no way we're going to get the record, you know, because it's too windy and that. And then, of course, he goes out and blasts us right through the wind. And we end up getting this record. So that was kind of a moment that we had in the Olympic part of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really a blur. I mean, it goes. I think Carl had the benefit of having done 4. And so I think when you have done so many, when you've been on so many Olympic teams, things kind of slow down a little bit for you. But man, that week in Barcelona, it was a blur. We flew in, did what we needed to do, or competed, and we were going. And now I have to think about it. Uh-huh. But I had the good fortune of going back to Barcelona about 5 years ago, and some of the memories did kind of bubble up. And I remember the walk into the stadium, and I remember because I rewalked that path in the warm-up area and got to see a few things that I didn't get to see when we were there for the games, and so that really did bring back.
You know, people think about elite athletes like you who win gold medals, and they go, that gold medal, and they're preoccupied with it. I am. I wonder, where do you keep this medal? Now, and I know we were talking earlier about how after one of the games your home was burglarized in Katy. I don't think you lost, you know, a medal. Mm-hmm. So how do you have to protect these gold medals? What do you do? Where do you keep them? Well, I mean, without, you know.
Well, mine's in the safe. So, I mean, a lot of people think, you wear your medal? Like, no. You know, how strange would that be? But, you know, I pull it out from time to time and think about, you know, so much of what I wanted to do and so much of me is you know, personified in that medal.
Right.
And so I just pull it out from time to time and look at it, but and then put it back.
How about your symbols of success?
Well, you know what? Mine are in storage now, and from time to time, just like Leroy says, they'll come out. But now that I'm getting older and people ask about them so much, I'm just trying to come up with an idea. How can I bring them out and let people see them more? So I'm putting those ideas together.
Do you think maybe they'd be at a venue like your school?
You know,
the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs?
I'm going to come up with something because I think that it's not that they're not important to us, and because I would never diminish that. But what it is, it's kind of like a diploma. You worked all your life for this diploma. When they hand it to you, it's the most amazing moment, and it's great to see it, see that diploma on the wall. But it's the journey to get there is what's
Yeah.
really important.